Sherm Chester with you on this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast. And we got a guest with us today. Well, we've been tracking you down for a long time, Raj, and we finally got you. Roger Brown from, first off, NewHampshireFootballReport.com and NewHampshireHardball.com. How's it been, brother?
Busy summer, sure, but we're getting ready for football season, so we've got a little lull in the action, and then we'll be right back at it here in a couple of weeks, really.
Well, I was going to say the college kids have been practicing, and I know the Patriots. I was going to ask you about them. We'll talk about them in a second. And then, of course, the high school. When does the high school tryouts, or they don't have tryouts, but the workouts start?
They usually start the Wednesday after the Shrine game. I don't know the exact date, but typically it's midweek following the Shrine game.
Do you have in particular the Seacoast teams, the Blue Hawks in particular, their upcoming schedule for this season yet?
I have it somewhere, Sherm, but that's another issue I have. There used to be a time where the NHIA would release the schedules and it was news to everybody and we'd put it in the paper, and now they treat it like it's some sort of secret code and they won't release it and they don't get any press, and it's kind of bizarre how they deal with it these days. So I don't have it handy, but it's out there. You just can't find it on the NHIA site.
I got it through a third party, so
I'm sure the Blue Hawk cards are being sold here, next week. So look for those, folks. And the schedule's got on those always. So it's out there. It's just not available to the average fan, I guess. I've had all kinds of coaches calling me from out of state looking for games, wondering why the NHIA site doesn't have the schedules posted. I guess they're redoing their website. That's what they were told. So hopefully we'll have that information shortly.
Well, the big boys, the Patriots, have started their preseason camp. Have you had a chance to do anything with that? Go down to their training camp and watch them? Or
I have not. Sure, I was coaching baseball this summer with the Legion program in Exeter, and we just finished our state tournament. And Patriots is probably last on my list. Between high school, college, and then Patriots. So, and it's early. All kinds of stuff is going to happen. I don't really start paying attention until they get the real roster.
Well, let's backtrack. You just brought up the Legion season is over with. Give me a thumbnail of how everything broke out this year for the teams around here in the Seacoast.
Well, we were the only, there's 3 divisions in Legion, so I can't really talk to you about the lower ones, but we finished second in our district. The Exeter Post 32 team behind Nashua went 2-2 in the state tournament, and Bedford ended up winning the state, so they'll represent New Hampshire in the regional tournament. But good season for us. The problem we have, or the issue we have, is we don't get many kids from Exeter High. We get a few, and they're good ones. But the Nashuas and the Bedfords, most of their high school teams play Legion ball in town rather than play travel. So we got to find a way to get to that point to be competitive with them. And Rochester and other schools. I mean, there's, you name it. Most of the teams in the tournament, their local high school is the primary supplier of players for the team, but that's not the case here. So
now Rochester represented this area. Is that how that broke out?
Rochester was finished third behind us. So we were there's an 8-team tournament. In our side, it was Nashua, Exeter, Rochester, and Salem. And, as it turned, Bedford was number 1 on the other side, and they ended up beating Nashua in the championship. So
Bedford is a dominating town when it comes to any sport at this point.
Well, yeah, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how the football team performs with a new coach and a whole new system this year. But again, like we faced when we played Bedford, it was 0-0 in the bottom of the 6th, and we faced their best 3 high school pitchers who are all college kids, so it's a tough go when, a lot of our players are from some of the smaller schools in the area, like Newmarket and Epping and Raymond, and they just don't see that level of play during the high school season. So, again, we just got to find a way to get more of these Exeter kids playing Legion rather than paying big dollars for travel ball.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to be the bugaboo. We were talking about that in a previous program that just, it used to be a thing of pride to play for like the Legion Post or
Sure.
if you'd be in the Little League, you'd stick with that through the playoffs. And a lot of them are looking forward to, getting into a college and being a star in college. But, it'd be nice just to have a nice career in high school.
Well, and you mentioned the college thing. The three pitchers we faced are all, one of them's a Division I college pitcher, maybe two of them, and they're playing Legion ball. So I don't know what the excuse is. Why you'd want to go play travel. If you're a Division I don't think there's, other than Ethan Battles, I don't think there's any Division I pitchers at Exeter. So, why not play for the team, right next to where you live? So,
Yeah,
but
for the pride of the state too.
it was a lot better back before everybody played travel, as you know, Sherm, the Babe Ruth and the Little League and Legion was very strong, and it didn't cost you an arm and a leg to play, and you played with your buddies.
Roger, my son hasn't been played organized baseball in 30 years probably or thereabouts. But when he was in baseball, at the high school level and whatever, I saw the change starting then with the technology, obviously just starting to gear up, and like even the bats and everything, the equipment was starting to get high tech, and that's when I said, "Gee, this game is changing."
Yeah, and you know what? For all the travel ball teams, I don't think fundamentally the kids are better. We get some kids at the younger, when we were coaching junior Legion, that just fundamental stuff just was not taught. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's get back to football. You mentioned there's a change in Bedford, and they're usually a dominant dog in Division I football. What do you see? Any changes this year, or have you heard anything through the grapevine about any specific teams?
Well, I put the top 10 on the football report earlier this week, Sherm, and I don't want to give away everything, but I will say I put BG number 1, Bishop Girton, as the top team. A lot of that had to do with they have probably the most experienced quarterback returning. There's not a lot of teams with in Division I with quarterbacks coming back, so I figured that would give them an advantage. They have a kid, Nate Bowen, who's going to be starting for the third year, and they've just got a lot of talent around them. They have two really good linemen, probably more, but two that I'm aware of. One of them has Division I college offers. They have a receiver, Rocco Roy, who was a finalist or semifinalist for that Ukika Player of the Year award last year. And I know they've got some younger kids that I saw at summer camps that are going to be really good. So, that's a little bit of a change. BG perhaps being the best team or one of them. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But the top 10 that my opinion, for whatever it's worth, is on the New Hampshire Football Report site.
Well, I won't ask you where they stack up, but are Exeter, Winnicott, and Ports with any of the Seacoast teams on that top 10?
There are Seacoast teams in the top 10, yes.
All right. And any intel on any of those teams that I just mentioned or anybody that, stands out this year?
Well, I think Winnicott's got, they got a chance to be very, very good this year. They got 4 or 5. They have Josh Moore, who's, again, a Division I lineman. They have a kid named Jackson McDonald, who's a receiver. I think he played basketball, point guard maybe, and he'll probably shift to quarterback this year. I would expect them. They're going to be an interesting team. They're going to be good, but they could be very good. We'll just have to see how it unfolds. Exeter is a bit of a mystery because they lost so many seniors, and I know it wasn't the greatest of seasons for them last year, but they had a very talented sophomore class, and a lot of their kids got playing time last year because of injuries. So, you got to expect things to be better this year, I would assume.
Well, what about now? The question I think we kick around every year. It's always 3 yards in a cloud of dust with the Blue Hawks. You see any changes? More, let's go to the air type of offense.
No, and he's Coach Ball's had success doing it his way for forever. So he's got a quarterback who can throw. Tyler Ream is still there, so they can throw when they have to. And
Mhm.
I think in the last few years he's thrown more too. But
Yeah, yeah.
they do what they do, and that's that their style of offense is run first. And
Ground and pound or pound and ground.
yeah, and with his record, why change? I know it doesn't make some of the fans happy, but at the end of the day, you just want to have more points than the other team. Doesn't matter how you get there necessarily.
So before we even get to training camp, preseason training camp, again, you've got BG on top of the heap, but would you see BG going against who would be the second choice? I guess I'm going to be. I sound like an attorney. What would you say your second choice would be in the finals if you were projecting today?
Well, I think Pinkerton's going to be very good still. They have a lot of good talent returning. From they were the runner up last year. Um, a couple questions about their quarterback situation. I know they have a good kid, Spencer Colburn, who will be a senior who could play quarterback, but I'm hearing they may use this kid who transferred from Londonderry last year, who was a wide receiver at quarterback as well. So till I see that, we'll know more once we see him actually playing. But Pinkerton will be very good again too. So I would certainly a challenger for the title, no question.
What about the other divisions? I mean, we do have other talent from around the area in other divisions. Any other teams stand out to you in the other divisions?
The other ones are a little harder to predict just because, I think Epping Newmarket will be good, Division Three. Um, I think St. Thomas, I heard, you never know because of the transfers. I know they had a lot of kids transferring out because of lacrosse. I don't know if they're football players or not. So that's kind of fluid there. Division Two, just overall, is kind of tough to pick because the good teams last year lost so many players. Sauhegan, good program, but they lost a lot of good seniors. Same thing with Trinity. And then, again, it's not a local team, but I would think Plymouth would be very strong in Division Two this year. They're just good up front, looking for some running backs, but I'm sure they'll find one. Good program there.
And down the road in Durham town, the Wildcats, they've been scrimmaging for a while now and practicing. So everybody tuned up and ready for the season, which starts in August.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. They haven't had their media day yet, but they were picked fourth in the CAA preseason poll. Based on all the turnover that they had from last year, new coach and what have you. But I'm kind of optimistic because they brought in. You never know how it's going to pan out, but they brought in some transfers from bigger schools. FBS schools, Syracuse. I think they got a linebacker. They had a running back who ended up at Temple, who was highly touted. So we'll just have to see how these guys pan out. But they've definitely brought in a higher level player through the transfer portal. And when he was at CA Media Day, Sean Goldrich said, he was very happy with how they plugged all the holes in their offensive and defensive lines, which was encouraging because that was a defensive line was hit hard, and that was a big question mark for them. So there's a lot of questions to be answered there, but I think it could be an interesting season for them for that reason. And got to remember the league isn't as strong anymore. No more Villanova. Delaware left years ago. William and Mary, Richmond. So it's a softer schedule than it once was. Used to be just a murderer's row of opponents in that league.
What about college football in general? You just brought up a point, and it's been a sticking point for a few years now. Every team's just jumping from division, or not division, but from conference to conference, and of course the portal. We've talked about that and how that's thrown the game around, and the NIL thing with name, image, likeness. Has that settled down at all?
I don't really think so. They're trying to do this 5-for-5 plan. So it's always changing, all these new rules. But I mean, I just read the other day, I forget who it was. Oh, it was actually college basketball players getting paid more than LeBron James. I
Wow.
think a kid coming out of high school that went to Kentucky or somewhere.
Wow.
So it's a strange world out there in college athletics.
Mm.
Uh, so I wouldn't say settle down. It's still kind of the wild, wild west out there to a large degree, which is a shame. I mean, we need to put some structure in place for sure. I mean, it's just not good, the way things are. I don't have a problem with kids transferring and all that, but the way they're doing it now is kind of messy.
Well, friend, 2 minute drill time. If you got anything you want to throw on the table for us?
Let's see. Well, we mentioned, the high school season getting going here shortly, and I did the top 10. Those who are interested in high school football, I usually release a list of top 50 players in the state. It's obviously subjective, and a lot of good players aren't on that top 50. Doesn't mean you're not a terrific player, but should have that up on the website this weekend. So, anybody that's interested in high school football, I would just ask you visit New Hampshire Football Report, give it a try, and we'll try and keep you up to date. There's such, few media outlets where you can get your local news these days. So try and fill the void there a little bit, at least with the high school football product.
And now, did you wrap up the baseball season on NewHampshireHardball.com?
I'm still doing some stuff there. I try and follow the Fisher Cats and again, Legion, they have regionals. They actually play for something, championships, which is rare in summer ball these days. So Bedford will be in the New England regionals. And then, we have players local kids that are in the pros. And I've got to do a better job of tracking them, to be honest with you, but try and get some updates on them this time of year as well.
And for my 2 minute drill, I just wanted to throw in, I got a note from our friend Sam Bruno, and we'll have to get Sam on board soon because we're going to be celebrating our 200th episode of the Seacoast Sports Forum. And he sent me this the other day, the announcement that Ryan Colton is now the new UNH Wildcat Director of Athletics. So congratulations to Ryan, who was previously at Richmond, and you will be taking over the reins from Allison Rich. And Allison had been there for 4 years.
Tough job for sure. I don't think they appreciated Marty Scarano when he was here. And, he was in a lot of ways exactly what that school needed for an AD, I thought. So,
well, you know what? He was right for the time for sure, because, but I think he and Coach Mack realized the times were a-changing, and it's going to get easier.
That's for sure. No doubt about it.
Well, Roger, don't be a stranger. I know you're going to be doing some interviewing, and you got your camps. Do you have any camps coming up? Or
camps are all done. Season's here. High school season's here. So we wrapped up last weekend, and just looking forward to some football.
And you're going to be talking to one of our former quarterbacks at UNH for the Wildcats, Trevor Knight. So if you get any audio from Trevor, you can share that in an upcoming episode.
Sure thing. We'll just get Trevor on. It'd be good.
Let's do that. Let's do that. You can check out Roger Brown's columns on NewHampshireFootballReport.com and also NewHampshireHardball.com. So on behalf of Roger Brown, this is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.